I want to ask you something before we go any further. And I need you to sit with this question honestly. Not the answer you would give in front of other people. Not the polished version. The real one. When was the last time you made a decision that actually changed the direction of your life? Not a reaction. Not an adjustment. Not a response to something that happened to you. A real decision. One that came from somewhere deep inside you. One that you made on purpose with intention, knowing that the moment you made it, something was going to shift. If you have to think hard to remember, that tells you something. Because here is what I have come to understand about human life. And this is not motivational language. This is not something I want you to feel good about and then forget by the time you get to the end of this video. This is a principle that, if you genuinely internalize it, will change the way you approach every single day for the rest of your life. Your entire existence, everything you are, everything you have, everything you will become is the accumulated result of choices, not circumstances, not luck, not what happened to you. Choices, the ones you made intentionally, and the ones you made without realizing you were making them. You are living the life your choices built, and you have the power right now, today, to begin building a different one. But it starts with one choice, just one. And that is what I want to talk to you about today. The book of Deuteronomy records one of the most powerful statements ever made to a human being. Moses stood before the people and said, "I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life so that you and your children may live." That was not a suggestion. That was not a motivation speech. That was God Himself declaring that the trajectory of an entire nation rested on a choice. Not on circumstance, not on geography, not on the power of their enemies, on a choice. That principle has not changed. Before I go further, I want to address something that I know is sitting in the back of some of your minds right now. Because somebody watching this is already preparing their objection, already building the case for why this principle doesn't apply to them. You're thinking about your background, your family, your financial situation, the neighborhood you grew up in, the opportunities you didn't have, the people who failed you, the systems that worked against you, the cards you were dealt that you never asked for. And I'm not going to dismiss any of that. I'm not going to stand here and pretend that life is fair or that everyone starts from the same place. It is not fair. And everyone does not start from the same place. Those are real facts. But here is another real fact that is equally true and far more important for where you are trying to go. Your starting point is not your destiny. Your starting point is simply where the story begins. It is not where the story ends. It is not even the most interesting part of the story. The most interesting part of the story is what you do from where you are. The most powerful chapter in any human life is never the chapter about what happened to them. It is always the chapter about what they decided to do about it. Joseph was thrown into a pit by his own brothers. He was sold into slavery. He was falsely accused and thrown into prison. Every external circumstance pointed to a life of waste and obscurity. But Genesis records that in every place Joseph was placed, the Lord was with him and Joseph prospered. Not because his circumstances were favorable, because his character was settled, because his sense of identity was not dependent on his conditions. You cannot change your starting point, but you can change your direction. And direction, sustained over time, determines destination. So let's talk about choice. Really talk about it. Not the surface level version where we say choices matter and then move on. I want to go deeper than that. Because most people have a dangerously shallow understanding of what choice actually is. And that shallow understanding is costing them enormously. Most people think of choice as something dramatic, something big. They are waiting for a major decision to come along that will change everything. They are waiting for the pivotal moment, the fork in the road, the grand crossroads where they will finally make the choice that transforms their life. But that is not how choice actually works. Choice is not an event. Choice is a practice. And this distinction is everything. Your life is not changed by one dramatic moment of decision, although those moments matter. Your life is changed by the accumulation of small choices made consistently over time. The choice to wake up an hour earlier, the choice to read instead of scroll, the choice to invest in yourself instead of entertain yourself, the choice to have the honest conversation instead of the comfortable one, the choice to take responsibility instead of assigning blame. These choices don't feel powerful when you make them. They feel small. insignificant, like they couldn't possibly be the thing that changes your life. And that is exactly why most people don't make them consistently. Because the payoff is not immediate. The result is not instant. The reward is delayed. But compounding is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. And it does not only apply to money, it applies to choices. Every small choice you make is a deposit. And those deposits accumulate with interest. The interest on wise choices is a life that exceeds your expectations. The interest on unwise choices is a life that falls short of your potential. Galatians 6-7 says it with absolute precision. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. This is not a threat. It is a law, the law of the harvest. What you consistently plant in the soil of your daily decisions is exactly what will grow in the field of your future. You cannot sow seeds of delay and reap a harvest of progress. You cannot sow seeds of fear and reap a harvest of freedom. The soil doesn't negotiate. It simply produces what was planted. You are making deposits every single day. The only question is what kind. Now, I want to talk to you about the most important choice anyone can make. And when I tell you what it is, it might surprise you, because it is not what most people expect. The most important choice you will ever make is the choice of how you see yourself. Not the choice of career, not the choice of partner, not the choice of where to live or what to pursue or how to spend your money. Those are important choices, but they are all downstream from this one. Because everything you do, every decision you make, every action you take or fail to take flows from your self-perception, from the story you believe about who you are, from the image you carry in your mind of what you are capable of, what you deserve, what is possible for you. Proverbs 23-7 says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Not as a man wishes, not as a man hopes, as a man thinks. The interior world creates the exterior reality. What you carry in your mind as a settled conviction about yourself is what you will consistently produce in your life. Not occasionally, consistently. Because you cannot outperform your self-image for long. You will always drift back to what you genuinely believe about yourself. If you see yourself as someone things happen to, you will spend your life reacting. If you see yourself as someone who makes things happen, you will spend your life creating. If you believe you are limited, you will live within those limits even when the walls are imaginary. If you believe you are capable of more, you will reach for more even when the reaching is difficult. Your self-perception is the lens through which you interpret every experience of your life. And lenses determine what you see, not what is actually there. What you see. Two people can face the exact same obstacle, the same rejection, the same setback, the same closed door. And one of them will see evidence that they don't belong, that they should stop, that they were foolish to try. The other will see information, data, a lesson about what to adjust, a redirection towards something better. Same obstacle. Two completely different experiences. Not because the external reality is different, because the internal lens is different, and the lens is a choice. This is one of the most liberating truths I know, because it means that you are never fundamentally trapped by your circumstances. You are only trapped by your perception of your circumstances. And perception can be changed. It is being changed right now. Every time you feed your mind something different from what it has been consuming. Romans 12:2 commands us, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The word transform there is the Greek word metamorpho, the same root as metamorphosis, the complete restructuring of form. And it happens not by changing your environment first. It happens by renewing your mind first. The transformation of your life begins in the transformation of your thinking. Change the thinking, and the living follows. This is why what you read matters. What you listen to matters. What you watch matters. What you allow into your mind on a daily basis is forming and reforming the lens through which you see yourself and your world. You cannot keep filling your mind with content that shrinks you and expect to live an expanded life. The input determines the output, always. So the choice of how you see yourself is not a one-time decision. It is a daily discipline, a daily act of choosing to see yourself accurately. Not through the distorted lens of your past failures. Not through the cynical lens of people who gave up on their own dreams. Not through the fearful lens of everything that could go wrong, but through the lens of your actual potential, your actual capacity, your actual purpose. Let me go deeper. There is something that happens when a person makes a genuine, committed, non-negotiable choice about who they are going to be. Something shifts, not just psychologically, not just emotionally. Something shifts in the practical, daily reality of their life. Because when you make a real choice, your brain begins to behave differently. Your attention shifts. The things that were always around you that you weren't noticing suddenly become visible. Opportunities that were always present begin to register. Connections that were always possible begin to form. Resources that were always available begin to be accessed. This is not mysticism. This is how God designed the human mind to function. When you align your thinking with your purpose, when you make a genuine commitment to the direction you were created for, perception sharpens. Paths that were invisible become clear. This is why Proverbs 3-5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. The promise of straight paths is connected to the posture of full commitment. Half-hearted acknowledgement produces crooked, confused paths. Full commitment produces clarity of direction. The question then is not whether you have the capacity to change your life. You do. The question is whether you are willing to make the choice that activates that capacity. And this is where I need to be honest with you about something. Most people will not make that choice. Not because they lack the ability, but because real choice is uncomfortable. Real choice requires you to give something up, and most people are not willing to pay that price. Because every meaningful choice is also a sacrifice. When you choose one direction, you are simultaneously choosing away from other directions. When you choose to build something, you are choosing away from the ease of not building. When you choose to grow, you are choosing away from the comfort of staying the same. When you choose responsibility, you are choosing away from the relief of blame. And the thing about comfort and blame and ease and sameness is that they feel good in the moment. They provide immediate relief. They remove present discomfort at the cost of future possibility. This is the trade that most people make without realizing they are making it. They trade their long-term potential for their short-term comfort. And they do it in small increments, day by day, choice by choice, until one day they look at their life and wonder why it looks nothing like what they dreamed. The answer is always the same. Small trades made consistently in the direction of comfort and away from growth. I want to invite you to start making different trades. Not perfect trades, not dramatic trades, small ones, daily ones, in the direction of who you are trying to become. Choose the thing that stretches you over the thing that soothes you. Choose the conversation that moves you forward over the one that keeps you comfortable. Choose the investment in your future self over the indulgence of your present one. These traits feel small when you make them. They feel like nothing, but they are not nothing. They are everything, because they are deposits into the person you are becoming. And the person you are becoming is built entirely out of the choices you make when you think it doesn't matter. Now let me talk to you about the enemy of good choices. And it is not what most people think. The enemy of good choices is not temptation. It is not laziness. It is not even fear, although fear is a significant obstacle. The enemy of good choices is unconscious living. Most people are not making conscious choices. They are running on autopilot, responding to habit, to social pressure, to default settings that were installed in them years or even decades ago. They are not choosing their days. Their days are choosing them. They are not directing their lives. Their lives are being directed by whoever and whatever has the most influence over their attention at any given moment. And in a world that is deliberately engineered to capture your attention, to keep you scrolling, to keep you reactive, to keep you consuming, unconscious living is more dangerous than it has ever been in human history. Ephesians 5:15-16 speaks directly to this. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Making the most of every opportunity. That is not passive language. That is the language of intentional, deliberate, wide-awake engagement with your own life. The days are too important, the opportunities too significant, the purpose too valuable to be wasted on unconscious drifting. The antidote is intentionality, deliberate, conscious, purposeful engagement with your own life. The practice of pausing before you respond instead of just reacting. The practice of asking before you spend your time or your energy whether this is actually aligned with where you are trying to go. The practice of making your choices on purpose instead of by default. This is not complicated, but it is demanding because intentionality requires energy. It requires attention. It requires that you stay awake when the easier thing is to drift. But this is what it means to be fully alive, to be the author of your story rather than a character being written by external forces, to be in the driver's seat of your own life rather than a passenger wondering where you are being taken. You were not created to drift. You were created to direct, to choose, to build, to contribute, to leave something in the world that wouldn't be there without you. But none of that happens by accident. All of it begins with a choice. Now I want to address the specific person who has been waiting for a sign, waiting for some confirmation from outside themselves that they are ready, that the time is right, that they have permission to step into what they know they are called to do. I want to be very direct with you. This is the sign, not because this video is special, but because the fact that you are here, listening to this, feeling what you are feeling right now, that restlessness, that recognition, that sense that these words are describing something you already know but haven't acted on, that is not a coincidence. Isaiah 43:19 says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." The new thing has already been initiated. The way is already being made. The question God is asking is not whether He is working. The question is whether you perceive it, whether your eyes are open, whether you are paying attention to what is already moving in and around you. The sign you are looking for is the desire itself. Desire and destiny are not strangers. They are deeply connected. Philippians 2:13 says, "For it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill His good purpose." The willing, the wanting, the desire itself is God working in you. The things that stir in you are not random. They are pointing at something. They are revealing something about who you are and what you were made to contribute. Stop waiting for external confirmation of what is already burning internally. The confirmation is the burning. And now let me bring this home with something I need you to carry out of this conversation and into your life. You are one choice away from a different life. Not a perfect life. Not an easy life, but a different one. A truer one. One that is actually moving in the direction of your potential instead of away from it. That choice is available to you right now. Not tomorrow. Not after you've prepared more or saved more or learned more or prayed more. Right now. The choice to see yourself differently. The choice to take responsibility for the direction of your life. The choice to stop outsourcing your decisions to your fears and your habits and your history. The choice to become intentional. The choice to start. Joshua 1-9 says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." This was spoken to a man standing at the edge of the most important assignment of his life. At the threshold of a promised land he had never entered, leading a people who had never been there. Everything was uncertain. Everything was new. Everything was demanding. And God did not say, "Wait until you feel ready." He said, "Be strong and courageous." Because the strength and the courage are not prerequisites for the journey. They are products of it. You develop them by choosing to move. This is the most democratic power in human existence. The power of choice does not favor the wealthy or the educated or the connected. It does not respect your background or your bloodline. It does not care about your past or your failures or your limitations. It is available to everyone who is willing to exercise it, including you, especially you. Because you would not be here if you were not capable of more. People who have given up on themselves don't look for conversations like this one. They don't seek out content that challenges them. They settle. They scroll. They distract. But you are here. Which means something in you is still fighting, still reaching, still believing that there is more available to you than what you currently have. Honor that part of you. Give it what it is asking for. Give it a decision. Not a wish, a decision that your life is going to change. That you are the one who is going to change it. That it starts today. That it starts with this one choice. Because the power to change your life does not live in your circumstances. It does not live in what other people do or don't do for you. It does not live in the economy or the government or the opportunities that haven't shown up yet. It lives in you. It has always lived in you. And Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us of this truth. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. The plan exists. The purpose is real. The future is already prepared, but you have to choose to walk toward it. So make it today, make it now, and then make it again tomorrow, and the day after, and every day after that, until the life you are living finally matches the life you were made for. You have the power. You have always had the power. Now use it. If something in this message moves something in you, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below and tell me what choice you are making today. Tell me what you are starting. Tell me what you are leaving behind. Because your story matters. And this community exists to hold you accountable to the best version of yourself. And if you are not subscribed yet, do it now. Because every day we go deeper into the principles that separate people who live their potential from people who only dream about it. Your best chapter hasn't been written yet. But it starts with one choice. Make yours today.